I'm the music guy, CJ playing. This is the Noize Report. You know what we do here? As always, we laugh, we have fun, we interview cool and interesting people, or pretty much anyone I can con into coming on this mess that I call a podcast. And today, I am honored to have this wonderful lady over here who, when I was sent the information from Mr. Tedder, immediately upon seeing the name, I was like, I have to have her on the show because I have a crazy story.
Oh,
Completely relates to your name. So,
really?
yeah. So I was like, you know what? You've probably heard this a million times, but I'm going to put my own personal twist on it.
Oh, good.
So, this is Terri Knight, and she is going to introduce herself and give you just a beef, or let me rephrase that, not beef, a brief background on who she is and some of her, um, why she's here. So, how are you today?
Well, to start off, I started playing music when I was about 12. My mother was the drummer, and you'll appreciate this story. We were on stage. Of course, I couldn't leave the band stage, the bandstand, because I was too young. And next thing I knew, I heard whiz of drumsticks flying by my head. And she was running off the stage. She jumped on a woman out there that was dancing with her ex-husband, and proceeded to pull the wig off of her head, which, I thought that was really poor taste in the poor lady. And anyway, that was my experience with having my mother in the band. And shortly after, I decided to go out on my own. So I did that and got into the music stuff and sat at home writing music and playing music. And, it's just been most of my life. Then I got into radio, and I started out as a country radio DJ, did that for a few years, went into rock, and I was a rock DJ for about 11 years. And so I know, I've interviewed all of those classic rock artists and
Nice.
just kind of picked their brains about everything. And then I went back into country when COVID hit. It kind of put some of us out of that. So I went back into country, and that's where I'm at now, and releasing singles and just having fun with life and with music, from all angles.
Nice. So, my mother, when she was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
had a best friend named Denise, and they were, I won't say groupies, but they were typical high school girls who loved to go to shows.
Right.
Um, for those of you familiar with the history of the band Grand Funk Railroad, before Grand Funk Railroad existed, there was a band in Lapeer, Michigan called Terri Knight and the Pack.
Right.
And my mother and Denise dated Terry Pack or Terri
Oh
Knight
my goodness.
and Mark.
Wow.
So I was almost the son of a rock star.
Oh wow.
My mother broke up with Terry and proceeded to date my father and get pregnant about 6 months later. So I missed the window.
Oh man. Hate
But
when that
I see
happens.
your name and I was like, that's funny because I've heard this story so many times from my mom and the family and everything.
Wow.
I seen the name Terri Knight. I was like, okay. And then I seen, you know, uh, the resume and all that. And I was like, you know what? She'll get a laugh out of the story because this is
Yeah.
directly into not only the name, but the Grand Funk and all of that. So I'm sure you've probably played their songs a billion times on the
Oh
radio.
yeah, of course. Well, yeah, and the thing is that these guys, I didn't really, I was familiar with them. And then when I got into rock radio, that's when I really, heard the Grand Funk Railroad. And the thing is that the first time I interviewed one of these other classic rock artists, the first thing he said to me was, I thought your voice would be lower. So yeah, I've heard this the whole time. So yeah, I
I
can understand.
I lived in Little Rock for 10 years,
Hmm.
and I worked for a guy as a custom painter. And we went one day, he said, let's go to lunch. And I said, okay, great. We went to this place called the Whitewater Tavern in Little Rock. And we were sitting eating lunch, and this woman comes in and she starts making her way all around the bar, and she's going table to table. And the boss goes like this, and he goes, hey, you know who that is? It's like, no idea. And he goes, that's Sweet Connie. I was like, who? He's like, Sweet Connie. I was like, the fuck is Sweet Connie? My brain just, I wasn't thinking. And he's like, dude, Sweet Connie, Grand Funk Railroad. And I was like, oh, yeah, American Man. I was like, okay. So, yeah, I not only got that connection to Grand Funk, but I've actually met Sweet Connie. And she's actually a very nice woman, or she was.
Yeah, really cool.
Um, hell of a history with her. I mean, stories, but I mean, I don't think she's nearly as bad as maybe the song makes her out to be.
Yeah, probably not. I love that though. I love that you have experiences like that.
I've, I've been really lucky. Like I've met some of my favorite um, musical artists, heroes,
Yeah.
and getting into this, it's allowed me to interview people that I would have never dreamed of interviewing. Like,
Hmm.
teenage me laying on a bed with posters on their wall like this. Like, I want to be like this guy, and back then, the most you could have ever done is maybe write a fan letter, maybe hope for an autograph.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
There was no part that you could have told 16-year-old me that I'd be sitting in my own studio one day interviewing the people that I stared at posters of. So it's very surreal, even though the internet is a big wide open thing and all of that. It's still very surreal to me that I get to do this. So
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And what a fulfillment, just to hear from these people and kind of hear what's on their mind and why they did certain things they did. It was just amazing.
a lot of them are. I've come to kind of learn a lot of them are big fanboys themselves.
Yeah, they are for
We
sure.
when I interviewed Zitro, the singer of Exodus, we talked for an hour about
Yeah.
the first time they toured with AC/DC. And he said, I had more fun standing in the front row watching AC/DC than I did actually playing my band's music, opening for them, because
Oh, yeah.
there was no part. I mean, he's like, there's no way you could have told 15-year-old me that I'd ever be opening for AC/DC. And I was like, I felt that like to my bones because I was like, you totally get it.
Yeah,
So you've got music that
I
you've
do.
so about your music because I'll get on other stuff and we'll completely miss that point. Um, so you knew a song, it's called Look It Up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When I heard that, I'm probably way off base with this, and people are gonna think I'm crazy, but I kind of my brain just kept going to the thought, you know what? This sounds like Emmylou Harris if she recorded a Stevie Nicks song. Like that's kind of where my head was when I heard it. And
Yeah.
I hope that's a good comparison, you know.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it goes back. I mean, it's sort of my style of writing is more like, I don't know what a good word for it is. It's sort of maybe not traditional, but going back a little bit, nostalgic.
Mm-hmm.
And all of my lyrics are about just maybe bringing some peace to somebody, because I think we all need that.
Yeah, like listening to the song lyrically and aesthetically, it kind of reminded me sort of like Emmylou Harris in the songwriting aspect.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
music, it has a lot of the sort of Stevie Nicks kind of, I don't want to say rock, but kind of the popish
I've
rock.
had both of those comparisons. Yeah, I totally get it.
So, and I love both artists. So I guess maybe that's why my head went there. But
Yeah,
I've kind of noticed it on some of the other songs too. Is it's kind of a thing to where your music kind of, to me, sits in that space to where it's not really 100% country, but it's not really pop either. It's that kind of,
like
um,
Americana.
yeah,
I
yeah, like,
think that's pretty much what I am.
yeah, like it's really hard to put a term on it because
Yeah,
it's not like Americana in the sense of, say, the Red Dirt stuff.
kind of got its own lane a little bit,
Like it doesn't really fit the Red Dirt genre like Americana of like Wade Bowen or Cody Cannon
Right. Yeah.
guys, and it doesn't really fit the country. I kind of I just kept thinking this kind of fits in the lane like where Emmylou Harris and Steve Russell and
Yeah.
those guys, that sort of Steve Earle, to where it's
Yeah. One of my favorite eras, really.
Steve Earle, man, like and Steve Russell, or not Steve Russell, his last name is Russell, and I can't think of his first name.
Leon Russell? No.
No, he does the chicken song.
I can't think of it either.
He's from Albuquerque, anyways. He does that kind of sound.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, it kind of has that lane of its own. That sort of,
Mhm.
it's a little bit of all of it. Like it's got a little bit of pop edge to it, but it's got that Americana vibe, but it's also a little bit country and um it
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 is. It's a weird, for the longest time, I didn't know where I fit, you know?
it's definitely more of a 70s 80s style to
Yeah,
me, I think, as
absolutely.
a modern. Um and I just kept thinking, one of the other thoughts that kept coming to my mind is like, man, these songs would fit perfectly in a Clint Eastwood movie. Like I don't know which one, but like if you've ever seen old Clint Eastwood movies,
Yep, I sure do.
it's really here in some aspect of whether it was Cadillac Man or whether it was, just the different things, every which way but loose or whatever. I just like I could totally
Yeah,
see songs in a Clint Eastwood style 80s flick.
that's cool. I mean, that's really cool that I think maybe I'm stuck in that era.
I
And I love it. I mean, I think I see so many things coming back, and even like Texas music, if you notice, there's a lot more rock, there's a lot more blues. There's just so much of it's almost like a melting pot of just different things. And I think that's why I do fit in that Texas music category a little bit because of that.
Mhm.
And now they're bringing in more Americana. So it's really it's a cool place to be in that I'm not, you know, I kind of have my own little bitty lane here, and I'm just trying to, get in there and do what I do and not really copy, anybody else.
You're definitely not copying anybody. Like it's definitely music that stands all on its own. But
That's cool.
again, like you can hear, I don't want to say you can hear the influences, but you can hear like your history almost
Yeah,
from the aspect of a music fan. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like
Hmm.
listening to the songs, it's almost like, okay, I can hear that she listened to this and this and this and this and this.
Right. That's very true. Yeah.
Well, and again, it's not like, oh, she's trying to sound like this or that, or she's taking this or that to make a style, but it's just you can hear the, this is what you grew up on
Right.
influence in it, in
Yeah.
how it shaped kind of who you were as a songwriter and as a person and even as a music fan. You can hear all of that in there. There's really a lot to
That's
it.
awesome.
Um, Flying reminded me of the Moody Blues. Anything, I think. There's something about that song. I was like, that has a Moody Blues type of vibe to me. Like it just has that sort of big, spacey, um,
You
that
know, it's weird because at first I thought, oh, is this actually gonna fly?
right?
Because I thought, man, what am I doing here? And I thought, well, I'm just doing what I want to do. But that song, I thought, oh, because it was so different when I heard it back from the recording studio. And I was like, okay, well, but the more I listened to it, the more I liked it. And the more it's got that rock edge. It's got that, I don't want to say Zeppelinish type guitar in it, but
Yeah,
it's a real, it is going back to that era of,
yeah,
like you say, even the Pink Floyds,
yeah,
where everything was just methodical.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like it has that
Yeah.
sort of Pink Floyd, Moody Blues
Yeah.
of vibe where it's big and kind of, I don't want to say open air, but it really kind of reminded me back to being a teenager, sitting in a room with the lights off and the lava lamp on, and
That is exactly right. That
of
is exactly right.
laying on the
And
bed at the ceiling with
yep.
that, and it's what it reminded me of. It's just it really took me kind of back to that 1978 type of thing where either that or like you listen in the basement on the big stereo that your parents had. That
Getting lost in your head.
yeah,
Yeah.
the but I love Texas music, so
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're a part of it because there's so many incredible artists in Texas that people don't hear about enough.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Fowler is one that I absolutely love. Kevin Fowler. There is,
Oh yeah. He's great. He's
yeah, like
just,
not
and he
only,
does his thing the way he wants to do it,
yeah, like the Kevin to me, not only just as a musician, but as a person. He's a character, man. Like there's something about Kevin you can't help but like.
It's true.
And my friend, he gets mad at me because I listen to Kevin. He's like, "What do you like about him?" And I was like, "What is there not to like? The guy, he's funny. He's really the epitome of a country star. Like, man, it's just." And then Aaron Watson is another one. Aaron is a
Hmm.
phenomenal songwriter. Aaron Aaron blows my mind because whether he's writing like old cowboy tunes or he's writing a song like Blue Bonnet about his daughter.
Yeah, just whatever.
He is so flawless as a songwriter, man. It's just like holy shit, that guy he is too talented. You know,
He is, and he's from here. He's from my town, which is really cool.
and Texas has so
Yeah.
many Creed Fishers or whether
Hmm.
you love or hate the guy, Cole Wetzel is
Yep.
creating his own thing, and I interviewed him before he was still working at the golf course picking up golf balls when
Oh
I
wow.
when he first did the cocaine taco and cocaine song. And I heard that song and I just thought, you know what, this guy's gonna blow up. And there was just something about that song. This guy's gonna blow up. And interviewed him. It was very off the wall because he was completely drunk and high when I interviewed him. He had been partying the night before, and it really was a comical interview.
Yeah.
Now I watch and I'm like, I knew he was gonna blow up. Like I just
You did for sure. He sure did.
Jelly Roll's another one.
Oh yeah.
Promoted when I lived in Little Rock, I promoted a show with Jelly Roll in 2004 when he was still doing trap music, when he was still rapping.
Yeah.
Told everyone this dude's gonna blow up. And oh no, that's fat guy with face tattoos is never gonna blow up. He's just some fat dude from Nashville. I was like, I'm telling you, personality is too big. He's too real. He's got too good of a
Mhm.
heart, man. He's gonna blow up. Not a
And
question.
what a voice. Oh my gosh.
And I kept telling people, it's not a question of if, it's when.
Yeah.
Somebody is going to see him at somewhere along this line. And it took 16 years of him going through what he went through. But there is not a more genuine, real person in music.
That's very true.
I love Jelly, and all my kids are the same way. They grew up on Jelly. They grew up
Mhm.
rap music and listening to his rap songs. And now to see him transition to everything that he's doing now, and he's doing so much good with it, going to the jails and go talking to people, and almost kind of like what Johnny Cash did in a way, like just
Yeah, he's so generous,
and I
so
love
generous.
that's what made me believe he was going to blow up. It
Yeah.
wasn't so much, it was just there was something about Jelly when I met him. It's like, this dude is too real. He's too almost too good for music. Like, like music is such a harsh business, so cutthroat. I was like, he's almost too good for the business, but I just I couldn't help but feel he's gonna make a mark some kind of way, whether it was through a social app or through an organization he started or something. But you could just tell, like, even then, there was something about Jelly that was so different.
What's interesting is I think people are wanting the real. They're,
Yeah,
you went through these phases where everybody was playing some character or whatever, but just be you, be who you are, and the world is going to accept you for that rather than trying to put on some kind of front or do what other people want you to do.
yeah,
I've always just done what I want to do, and that's pretty much what they've done. And you just throw it out there and see where it goes. But that's what people want. They want the real.
yeah. Um, one of my favorites, I even have his thing tattooed. Um, One of my favorites is Colt Ford. Um, I've I've met Colt so many times. He's almost like a running between us now. Um, Colt's another one that I love because he's sort of the same way. He's got that big personality and he's funny, and um,
Yeah.
he's kind of like a big goofball, and you know, kind of funny to think he went from being a professional golfer to a country rapper. Because
Yeah, for sure. I know. So,
at one
and,
time
and
saying country rap.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, like at one time saying country rap would have been sacrilege
Yeah. Yes.
in Nashville, and now Colt runs, or he's co-owner, whatever, of one of the bigger, independent labels in Nashville and all. So, um, I guess that the moral of the story of all of this is, I love the independent spirit of artists. I love artists who think outside of the box, who aren't scared to do their own thing and take chances, and that's what I hear in your music is, even though you've kind of picked your spots, that independent spirit really shines through in your music. And I think that's great. Like you know,
It's awesome.
it it is undeniably you. It's
I love that. That is all I've ever wanted, was just
yeah,
to put myself out there. And, I feel, well, they'll either like it or they won't. If they don't, they'll like somebody else. If
that's
they like my style, then they'll come and like me, but I'm not going to throw a fit about it if they don't, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
that's the, that's the crazy thing about music is, you hear these people that they almost act as gatekeepers in a way of, you can't like that, or you can't like that, or you can't do this, that. And to me, it's like, why? Like,
Right.
music is something that should be explored, and it should be used in its full capacity. And if you have the knowledge and the skill set to create something new, why shouldn't you do it? Um,
Right.
You know,
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
I may not like something, but I will always give credit where credit is due. I am not a Taylor Swift fan,
Yeah.
but hey, I'm not out here getting $1,000 a ticket either. So who am I to
Right.
open my mouth and say that she's terrible? Because hey, $1,000 a ticket is $1,000 a ticket. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people touring right now getting $1,000 a ticket. So I'm of the firm belief, let me just sit over here, shut the fuck up, and mind my own business. um,
And if they can do it, well, do it.
one of the artists I think that really uh I love because it was one of the most unique things I ever heard. I don't know if you ever heard the group Gangsta Grass.
I think I have actually.
They did the theme for the Justified TV series.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Um I got to interview Wrench, and he's the kind of the creator and the brainchild behind that. And I asked him, I said, how did you come up with the concept? Because New York style hip hop and bluegrass, if there were ever two genres that you would think just would never work together. And then he told me, he said something that completely flipped me on my head. And he's like, well, why do you think they don't go together? I was like, because it's New York and Kentucky. He looked into the he looked into the camera and he said, but think about it. He said, New York gangsters and drug dealers and the old Kentucky moonshiners and gun runners and all of that. He's like, they were both gangsters, just in a different way. And I thought about that and I was like, holy shit.
Hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, like holy shit. It's completely true.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? It does go together. But it's one of them. He's one of them guys that he makes it work. And it's so unique to hear
Yeah.
almost like a Beastie Boy style hip hop.
Love that. I love that.
Banjos and then fiddles. And every time I hear it, I'm like, how the fuck did he make that work? Like that should not work musically. Like banjos and fiddles should not work with big like New York style bass beats. But I just say, you know what, the guy's a genius. That's the only way I can sum it up because I could never do it. Like.
Yeah. I tell you, the weird thing is that when I play live, I pick. I have myself and a lead guitar player. That's it. We do a duo, but I finger pick through the entire thing while he plays lead.
Nice.
And it works. And you would not think that somebody finger picking and somebody playing lead would work. But like when we're playing the song Flying, it's almost like it just takes you on a trip, with that screaming lead guitar and then me just over here going,
It would be like
But
Brian.
it's a really cool experience.
Yeah, I'd say you could be like Brian Setzer and do it both at the same time. I mean, that's Brian Setzer's whole style is he literally while he's playing, he holds the pick.
I wish I could do that.
And then the strings with the three fingers.
That is crazy. Oh man.
The pick, like he holds it like this.
So he's picking while he's playing lead.
He'll pick with his three fingers. And then he wants to play with the pick. He'll slide the pick between the other ones and pick the notes.
Oh my gosh.
And go back to pick with the three fingers. And that's how he gets that kind of chunky sound that he gets that. I'm
gonna have to try some of that. That's pretty cool. I like it.
I didn't know for the longest time. And then I seen a video where he was doing like a walkthrough. And he was how he did it. And it's really I tried to do it. And I was like, I kept dropping the pick because I couldn't.
Yeah.
Like the way he holds the pick on the inside of his fingers like this, and then kind of slides it back out with his thumb.
That's crazy.
Like, literally turns the pick on his finger with his thumb. So when he's picking with his 3 fingers, he's got the point of the pick on the inside facing his palm. And then he'll use his thumb to slide it in the opposite direction so that he can pick with the point and then slide it back.
See, here's the thing. If you try to think about doing it, you can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just like if I think about trying to do the picking that I do, I'm like, wait a minute. It's just like your brain takes over and you just do it. It's hard to explain to somebody, but yeah.
Yeah. And Jeff Healey, the way Jeff Healey played, blow my mind. It was
love some Jeff Healey. Yeah.
And like I got to see him live one time, and I couldn't think of anything other than just being in complete awe of him, because
oh yeah, definitely.
I understand the reason why he played like he did, but again, just being completely innovative.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's a lot of blind guitar players that play in a traditional way. But for Jeff to play that way, you know, your reach on a guitar, I mean, you would know, your reach on a guitar normally would be this, where Jeff's was, because he played with his thumb and his pinky.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. And
that is just raw talent.
It's innovation, and that's what makes you, I think, a great musician, is when you, again, going back, when you think outside of the box.
Yeah.
When you're willing to break the rules in a way of doing things that people say you can't do or shouldn't.
Knowing the rules to break the rules. That's exactly how I like it.
Freddie Mercury spent his entire career basically refusing to follow any rules musically, because
he sure did. Yeah.
Sure. Freddie's my favorite of all time. Like, Freddie is.
What's funny is Flying is actually playing on a few country radio stations, and that just shows you how things are changing. In Europe, they've just really embraced my music, which is something that I'm so grateful for.
So let's talk about that, because I was going to get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm seeing more and more artists, you, Scott Southworth, and a bunch of others, that are not only getting airplay over there, they're starting to hold entire festivals where, they have 14 and 8, almost like a metal style, almost like country Vakken style festivals over there.
Oh yeah.
When I first seen that, I was like, holy shit, I would have never thought of Europe as someplace, and even you're seeing it in Sweden and Norway.
Oh yeah.
Would have never thought of those being a place that country music would kind of take a hold, and
it's amazing. I mean, it's really amazing. I've done I did an interview over there. I think it's been about a month ago now, but had the best time, talking to Nick. It's the Whiskey and Cigarettes radio show, which I love. I love the name of that anyway, but he's just an international award-winning guy. And it was such a cool thing to get to talk to him and to see the song Looking Up go all the way to #1. And it just hit #1, I guess, 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
And now Flying is number 27 on their charts. And so it's on its way up. And so I love the way they embrace our music, and, they're just doing good stuff over there. And really, he says, we've got to get you over here sometime. And I go, oh yeah, I would love to go over there and do something,
Yeah. I'm friends with Scott Southworth, and Scott's been 3 or 4 times. He's been over there and played really big shows that far exceed anything that he does, because Scott's kind of like, Scott is almost like the male counterpart to you in a way. Like, he's a country DJ as well, who does honky tonk music and that kind of stuff. And
wow,
he's right in Nashville, so he's kind of in the heart of it. But at the same sense, Scott's been over there a number of times and done small tours around Norway and Sweden, Finland, and when I talked to Scott, I'm like, that's crazy because I would have never. When you hear Sweden and Norway, you think like ABBA, or you think like the hair metal bands, or you think
Yeah, you don't think country.
Germany, you think bands like the Scorpions and Creator and stuff. I I, I can't honestly name one country star that has come from Germany or Sweden or Norway or France.
Right, yeah.
But here's Scott, like, hey, I just played country festival in France and there were 11,000 people there.
That's crazy.
And you think, how the fuck did 11,000 country fans? Like, was somebody sipping too much wine on Friday night?
Yeah, I'm telling you, they love the Americana, the country, and I think the fact that mine is such a combination of different things,
Yeah.
that maybe that is also what's pushing it up, that it's not just your standard,
Yeah.
what they consider country, that it's got so many these other elements in it, and maybe that's it also, but I'm just so grateful to have them on my side.
Yeah, like I love the fact that, again, almost outside of the box, like, music happening in organic ways where you would think it shouldn't. And
Yeah, it's exactly right. That's my favorite word, organic.
um in, in the words of Billy Joel, you almost want to say, that's rock and roll to me, because I
Yeah,
can't imagine something that's more rock and roll than just the sort of old school do it yourself organic type of
that's it all
way.
day long.
Um, so let's kind of flip the script a little bit away from the music thing. Talk a little bit about being a radio DJ today versus, say, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, when it kind of, I guess maybe the analog ish, what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got experience with
Yeah.
kind of both of those. Um, yeah, I when I
Like,
started out in country, it was an independent station, and so I was able to go in and just, you can be the personality and do what you want and all of that stuff. And then when I went from country to rock, I went to a corporate station. And that was a whole different ball game. They no longer like you're not allowed to talk more than like 45 seconds. They don't want you to get on there and tell your stories and do all this, which I kind of did anyway. So, but I lasted 11 years, you know, and of course, my on air name, no matter where I've been, it's always been the Queen,
yeah,
which,
I have to mention that.
and so doing that, but I kind of took the reins and did what I wanted to do when I was in rock radio. Even though it was corporate, I didn't have anybody just staring down, my throat. And so I did all kinds of stuff. I got involved in all kinds of things. And some of the stuff I did just on my own time, just because I loved it so much, talking to different people and doing different things. And but it was so restrictive, and everything is so, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't break this rule, you can't. And I was like, oh, okay. So I got into that groove, like, oh, well, then of course COVID hit and a lot of us got laid off. But then I got this opportunity to come back to another country station, which is independently owned.
Nice.
And I was able to get in once again. And I mean, if I wanted to talk for a minute and a half, I could. And people love those stories. And that's what corporate radio is not getting. They love for you to be personal and for you to be real. They don't want what sounds like a robot to come on and talk to them. So I get on there and tell crazy stories, tell personal experiences. And I find that that's what they are hungry for.
Yeah.
They're really hungry for that kind of radio personality again, So I'm just thankful that now I have the chance to be 20 years ago what I was doing, and then got sidetracked.
I mean, I think radio, one of the things that people maybe fail to understand, or maybe what the higher ups fail to understand, is if people wanted just pure music, they could go to any streaming service for that.
Right. That's absolutely right.
You're
Yeah.
listening to FM, if you're listening to AM, if you're listening to terrestrial, quote unquote, type of thing, you're not listening for just the music, because
Right.
that music is available in 10,000 other outlets.
Yeah.
Probably on demand at your fingertips when you want it. So, there's it again harkens back to that the times when you had people like Wolfman Jack, when you had people like Casey Kasem and Rick Dees, who, they were characters almost as much as they were DJs. There was something about them that was bigger than just them playing the.
Yeah. They were entertaining.
Yes, and that it's so few and far between now. Like you don't see that as much, and I think
Yeah.
really what radio needs. I think I won't go so far as to say that's what would save radio, but I think it would go a long way to getting people to maybe listen to radio
Yeah.
again.
They want that connection,
Yeah,
they want to be connected to, because you go in their homes every day, and that's what happened when I was on radio for so long, that they got to where they were familiar with you, and they trusted you, and they enjoyed your little stories, and they enjoyed all of that. And so I was able to, get some of those minute and a half stories down to, 45 seconds, but at least there was that, so that I could make that connection, and that's what they want.
I mean, entire careers have been made on it. Like Larry the Cable Guy, for those of you that don't know, literally started out as a guy listening to the radio who could do funny stuff, and he would call into the radio station and do funny skits, and people liked it so much the radio station literally hired him to come in and start doing it, and then he transitioned
Yeah.
comedy based on the little idiot characters, quote unquote, that Larry created for radio thing that, and it's literally how I got into doing this.
Yeah.
Friend had an internet radio show, and I knew nothing about it. I knew everything about music, but nothing about the other side of it. I had done one foray per se into radio when I was in California. I went into the local college radio station and said, I want to do a punk show. Cool. What's your idea? I pitched my idea. Cool. Midnight to 1 a.m. You get 1 hour to play punk. Well, nobody specified to me that there were rules.
Oh.
So, playing the Dead Kennedys and the Circle Jerks and some of the stuff I played immediately sent the station manager into a stroke.
Uh-oh.
Apparently, you can't say that on radio. And I lasted all of a day and a half because
Wow.
they were like, no, the FCC is getting ready to kick our door down because you have broken every rule of radio. And I was like, okay, well, and nobody told me any rules. They just said, hey, great idea. Here's the console. This is how you run it. Have fun. And I walked in with my massive collection of music and just started playing the punk that I loved. Because I had the mindset of, if I love it, other people will love it.
Right.
And apparently
that's not how it was.
radio doesn't work that way. Anyways, Odd had a radio show, and I started calling in like Larry. I would do silly voices, and I would tell truck driving stories of my dad's been a truck driver for 50 going on 53 years now, and I grew up in the front seat of a Peterbilt, so I would tell stories of life on the road as a kid who at 5 and 6 years old would sit in truck stops at a table with 20 other truckers who talked like truckers. They didn't think about a 6 or a 7-year-old kid sitting at the table. They were just truckers, and they were talking. So I can tell you jokes and stories that would absolutely turn your hair gray. They're not radio appropriate in any sense, but they're funny. And people apparently liked it. And he come to my house one day with this big box, said, "Here, the fuck is that? Podcasting set." Okay, awesome. What the hell do I do with it? You're going to record a radio show. Or the first thing about recording a radio show. Well, I learned because I taught myself. And 11 years later, here we are. You know, I've done hundreds and hundreds of radio shows and podcasts and other things over the years. And I love it. And
Yeah.
it's that very aspect you talked about of being able to relate
Passion.
and laugh and have fun and just be silly and stupid, basically.
It's the way I live my life.
Yeah. Talk about the time I got to meet Jerry Reed, which is, you know, like my favorite story of all time. It's my favorite memory. Jerry was one of the funniest, most personable guys. Jerry was exactly in real life as he portrayed in his songs and in the movies and all that. Like he was he was a big, loud.
I can kind of tell that. Yeah.
Yeah, like we were driving and we pulled into a truck. And I seen the truck in the parking lot, and I was like, "Dad, it's a snowman truck." "Oh, that's just some trucker who's got a truck like that." Okay, so went in, we sat down at the table. I had to go to the bathroom, so away I went. Come across the restaurant, come around the corner towards the bathroom, and back corner booth. There he was, sitting at a table with about 5 other people. And 7 years old, as fast as my legs could carry me, I ran back to the table and told Dad, I said, Dad, that's Jerry Reed back there." "Oh, that's not Jerry. That's just some guy who looks like Jerry." "Oh, that's Jerry." "Oh, you just think it's Jerry." Okay. Back I went towards the bathroom, and as I passed the table, the inquisitive part of me was just like, you know what? I stopped and I put my hands on the table like this, and he's like, "Can I help you, son?" I was like, "Are you Jerry Reed?" And he said, "Yes, I am." "My dad said it wasn't you." He goes, "Where's your dad?" And I said, "He's over there." Jerry stands up, takes his hat off, yells across the truck stop. He's like, "Son, come on over here and have dinner with us." My dad stood up. He looked, and his eyes got about this big around. He was like, "Holy shit." Like, that was my dad's expression. He was like, "Holy shit." So he walks over there and he's looking at me. He's giving me this dirty look, like, "Why did you disturb him?" And I'm looking at my dad like, "Did you think I wasn't going to say something to him?" Like, it's
like, why not?
fucking Reed, bro. Like, it's, you know. So we got to have dinner with Jerry Reed. They were filming, what it was is they were filming Smokey and the Bandit 2, and they were filming the road scenes. So they were away from
Oh, wow.
And they were hungry. So they stopped to get dinner. We just happened to wander upon them.
That's great.
Yeah, it's one of my best memories. I'm a 7-year-old kid sitting at a table, again, with a bunch of truckers and Hollywood people, you know, just listening.
Yeah.
I didn't talk. I didn't put myself in the conversation. You didn't do that back then, you know, but I was always there, and just, it was surreal, kind of. Again, you know,
You just got to be assertive, you know, they're people too. They like to be, you know, to be funny and be nice, and for the most part.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was one of them things. Like, it just right place, right time. But I don't know. Like, it just, I love every aspect of being able to do this. So,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here and allow me to be random and stupid and trade stories with you. And where do people find you, the music, any kind of videos? Where do they find your touring schedules? Because I know you play a lot of shows. And
Actually, the best place is to go to my website, terryknight.com. And that has everything on there. or my Spotify, but yeah, my website has all of my schedules and everything on it. So yeah.
And for those of you watching that can't spell, because I know there's a couple of my friends that I love to death, but can't spell night.
Oh yeah.
Terri
Right.
Night.
Knight.
Yes. So please
Yep.
don't used to come to my house talking about I couldn't find the artist you were talking about. I told you how to spell it. Now shut up and use your phone.
There you go.
But all joking aside, like I said, wonderful music. I really enjoy it. I hope to hear a lot more from you in the future. And I'm I'm going to assume there's more than these 4 songs, right? I mean, you've been recording for a while.
Oh gosh, I've got several, but I'm kind of picking and choosing which ones to put out to radio or which ones to distribute. And I'll have another one coming out in February.
Nice.
So I'm trying to keep a new one out about every 4 months. So keep it going, keep it fresh. And you never know what you're going to get,
Keeping it old school all the way.
Right. That's exactly right.
Awesome. Guys, this is Terri Knight, on-air personality, music director. Wolf Country 107.1 FM is where you can hear her. Her songs are all over. They are on YouTube and YouTube Music. And they're on, I'm going to assume, a variety of other streaming services as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she gave you where to go. No excuses. Support independent music, support independent artists, and especially support the people that are giving us original stuff and not just the regurgitated TikTok influenced crap that all sounds the same. Because, come on, we're all sick of the auto-tuned, regurgitated crap that is, well, for lack of a better term, we're all sick of the industry plants that seem to blow up on TikTok every 3 to 4 months for a couple of weeks and then disappear. And
yeah, you notice that. Then they're just gone, a flash in the pan.
I won't name any,
Yeah.
but there are certain men who may or may not be rich, who just,
Yep.
it's almost a comedy act in a way. Like, like, I don't want to be rich. I don't want to make any money and yada, yada, yada. But I'm going to sing a song about men who make money. And it's just like, really? Like, that's what we're doing now. That's what corporate radio is giving to us now, because, I turned down an $8 million contract. No, you dude, there's no starving. And I say this in the nicest way. There is no starving artist living in a camper on a homestead that is turning down an $8 million contract to play local farmer markets. Okay. You're just not. Like, I've been around this business to know you're just not. Okay.
That's a lot of money. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, if we were talking, hey, I'll give you $1,000 to record a record, I'll give you 10,000 to record a record. Okay, maybe. $8 million is a lot of money. Like, I can't name one logical musician who would turn down an $8 million contract. I mean,
honestly, neither can I. Yeah. Yeah, neither can I.
Terms were just absolutely egregiously horrible and blatantly in your face horrible. $8 million is still $8 million, man. Like, so getting back to my point, please support artists who are real and independent and truly in this for the love of the art and the love of music and the love of storytelling, including this wonderful lady over here who has been so kind to listen to my stupidity for an hour. Um, so any final thoughts that you want to tell the fans or that you want to throw out there that I may have missed in my rambling?
No, if you I have one that just was released. This is going in the second week. It's called Live Our Dream.
Okay.
And
Is that the newest one, Live Our Dream?
yeah, I just released that one to radio.
Yeah,
It's been on social for a while, but yeah.
I have it on the list and I kind of wrote them down
Yeah,
random.
that's okay. Yeah, but it's out now and it's doing really well so far.
Yeah, that's a
So
great.
I distributed that one through CD Tex,
You love
and it was the first week out, it was #1 most downloaded song.
nice.
So I was really happy about that. So I think it's going to do really well.
Awesome.
But other than that, just keep doing what you love and
Yeah.
and just be you, you know.
Also, let me point out there's a really wonderful song called Silently Old that
Oh yeah, that's the other one.
really, really great story. And I think more than any of them, that's the one that made me think Emmylou Harris.
Yeah.
When I heard that song, I just couldn't help but think, God damn, that's a song that Emmylou Harris would sing, like it just screamed her.
You probably would actually. Yeah, that's one of those storyteller
Yeah.
songs, and that was that era, the storytelling era. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm bringing that back a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's really what I mean is it just screamed that style, like what Emmylou Harris and Dolly Parton and Rosanna Cash and those type of artists that just had the great stories about their grandmas and their dads and stuff like that. It really has that vibe of that time, and
That's very cool. I'm glad you got that.
yeah, beautiful song, beautiful song. I'm not gonna say I cried, but
I didn't cry, you did.
I'm not gonna say I cried, but I won't say that I didn't go into the bathroom and take a bathroom break for a few minutes and pretend that I was brushing my teeth and whatnot. So we'll leave it at that. In the words of John Lovitz, yeah, that's the story.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. You have an amazing night. As always, you know what we say when we end, be well, treat each other with kindness. Remember, no matter what you're going through, there's always one thing in the world that can save you. It's because music heals.